All right, thanks, guys. The Bucks take on the Pacers. That's going to be a 7 o'clock tip-off in Indiana. The Bucks open the betting as the 4.5 point favorite, total at 219. And since those markets open this one up, we're seeing movement downward on the spread. We're seeing movement downward on the total as well. Actually, a 0.5 point fade of Milwaukee in the early going here. The Bucks are now -4. Total move down to 218.5. So once again, the Bucks open 4.5 down to -4. Total open 219 down to 218.5. 54% of the consensus is leaning toward Indiana. Now, Milwaukee has Mirotic and DiVincenzo questionable for tonight's action. Milwaukee's also covering just 40% of their games at the current number. Now, on the Pacers side of things, they're 5-1 against the spread in their last 6. They rank first in home points allowed at 98 per game. The Pacers are led by Bogdanovic, averaging 16 points per contest. They're covering 80% of their games as the official home underdog. Now, scoring-wise, Indiana 7-1 to the under in their last 8. Milwaukee 5-0 to the under in their games at the current posted total. Give me Indiana +4, getting the job done as the home dog. And the under 218.5 in that matchup there. And before we go ahead and move on, just want to take a quick timeout and welcome you to the show. Got some lines of personal leans out for Wednesday's NBA and college basketball action. Happy hump the day, happy hump day. The weekend is almost here. We're in the middle of the week, almost Friday. But before we go ahead and move on, just want to quickly remind you to check me out at patreon.com/Brock Page. And with a documented record, I think it's like 10-3 in my last 13 NBA plays on that website. You're certainly costing yourself some valuable information each and every day you're not subscribed. Now, memberships begin at just $1.99 per month. There's also plenty of free content there as well. So once again, please feel free to just hit that pause button right now. Open up your browser. All you got to do is type in patreon.com/Brock Page. It'll only take you a couple of seconds. The link is in the description section below. And if you are a current patron of mine and you are watching me right now, I simply cannot thank you enough. You most certainly make it all worth it. With all that said and done, let's go ahead and move right back into some more lines of personal leans. All starts Eastern Standard Time. And on deck, we've got Nets, Cavaliers, 7 o'clock tip-off in Cleveland. Brooklyn's -6.5. Total open 219.5 up to 221. 70% is leaning toward Brooklyn. 56% shaded toward the under. And at the moment, Cleveland's +205 for some money line cash. Now, Dudley and Dinwiddie are out for Brooklyn. We also have Carroll questionable with a knee. Cleveland has, obviously, Love out for tonight's action, and Osman is questionable with an ankle as well. Now, Brooklyn's 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 when traveling. They're perfect 3-0 against the spread as the official road favorite. Cleveland's just 14-45 straight up overall for the year. They rank dead last in defensive field goal percentage. When it comes to the total, Cleveland's just 37% of the over in their games that tipped off at the current posted total. Brooklyn 6-10 to the over in their games at the current posted total themselves. Give me Brooklyn -6 after buying the 0.5 point and the under 221 in that matchup there. Next game, Pistons, Celtics, 7:30, Boston. The Celtics are -6.5, totals 212 and a hook. Detroit has no reported injuries for tonight. Boston has Kyrie doubtful with that knee injury. Regardless, though, Boston's 10-3 straight up in their last 13, 22-8 straight up on their home court. Boston ranks second in defensive field goal percentage. Once again, the Celtics rank second in the NBA in defensive field goal percentage. They're 9-1 against the spread in their games that tipped off at the current number. Detroit on their side of things, well, they're covering just 47% of their games, taking on teams over 550. When it comes to the scoring, Detroit is 60% to the over in their games at the current posted total. Boston 63% to the over in their games at home. Give me Boston -6 after buying the hook and the over 212.5 in that matchup there. Next game, Sixers, Knicks, 7:30 tip-off in New York, Madison Square Garden. Philadelphia's minus 9.5, totals 222 and a hook. 70% are leaning Philadelphia, and at the moment the Knicks are plus 425. The Knicks are 8-7 against the spread in their games that tipped off at the current number. They're 15-11 ATS, taking on teams over 550. Dennis Smith is leading the charge for the Knicks, averaging 17 points per contest this year. Kevin Knox is averaging 16 points per contest. Meanwhile, on the Phillies side, they've failed to cover in 6 out of their last 8 in the second of a back-to-back. Just 2-6 against the number in their second of a back-to-back. 2-6 against the spread in the second of a back-to-back for Philadelphia. They're covering just 36% of their games as the official road favorite. The Sixers ranked 22nd in points allowed on the road with 115. They're just 2-3 against the number in their last 5. Now, scoring-wise, Philadelphia's 5-1 to the under in their last 6. New York's 9-2 to the under in their last 11. Give me the Knicks plus 10 after buying the hook in the under 222.5 in that matchup there. Next game, Wizards, Raptors, 7:30 tip-off in Toronto. The Raptors open the betting as the 10.5-point favorite, total at 232.5. Since that one opened up, we're seeing movement upward on the total. That moved up to 233 and a hook. Once again, Toronto open and remains minus 10.5. Total open 232 and a hook, up to 233 and a hook. 61% are leaning Toronto, 55% shaded toward the under. And at the moment, the Wizards are plus 515 for some money line cash. Now, Fred VanVleet is still questionable with that thumb injury for Toronto. Toronto is still 5-0 straight up in their last 5, 12-1 straight up in their last 13 at home. The Raptors ranked 7th in the NBA in home defensive field goal percentage. Leonard leads the charge, averaging 26 points per contest. Now, the Wizards are covering just 27% of their games when traveling. They're also covering just 28% of their games at the current number. Washington has covered in just 5 out of their last 20 as the official road dog, and they rank last in points allowed on the road at 119 a game. Total-wise, Toronto's 5-1 to the under in their last 6, 70% to the under in their last 10. Give me Toronto minus 10 after buying the hook in the under 233.5 in that matchup there. Next game, Grizzlies, Bulls. 8 o'clock tip-off in Chicago. The Bulls are minus 1.5, totals 203. 51% are leaning Memphis, 52% shaded toward the under. And at the moment, the Grizzlies are plus 101 for some money line cash. Now, Conley and Anderson are both questionable for Memphis. Parsons, obviously, is still out indefinitely. Meanwhile, on the Chicago side, no reported injuries. Chicago ranks 29th in home scoring, 28th in home offensive rebounding. Chicago's also just 1-4 against the spread in their last 5, 3-18 straight up in their last 21. The Bulls are covering just 25% of their games when laying the points. Memphis, on their side of things, completely different story. They rank 2nd in points allowed. They're led by Jaren Jackson, who's 2nd on the team with 14 points per contest. When it comes to the total, Memphis is 5-5 to the over on the road, taking on teams allowing more than 102 points per contest. Chicago, 80% to the over in their last 5. Give me Memphis plus 2 after buying the half a point in the over 203 in that matchup there. Next game, Rockets, Timberwolves, 8 o'clock tip-off in Minnesota. Houston open minus 3, total open 224.5. And since those markets opened this one up, not a whole lot of movement on the spread, although we've seen significant movement when it comes to the total. That moved up to 227.5. So once again, Houston open and remains minus 3. Total open 224.5 up to 227 and a hook. Now, Houston has Rivers out for tonight's action. Obviously, Clint Capella still nursing that thumb injury. He's out as well. On the Minnesota side of things, Jones and Covington still out. They're still listed as out and not ready to play. Also, Wiggins is questionable with that phantom illness. Now, Minnesota is 18-10 straight up at home. They rank 6th in free throw percentage. Minnesota's also covering 63% of their games as the official home dog. Karl Anthony Towns leads the charge, averaging 22 points per contest. Now, Houston is just 6-12 against the spread as the official home road favorite. Once again, Houston just 6-12 against the spread as the official road favorite. They're also just 2-6 against the spread in their last 8 when traveling. When it comes to the total, Houston is 3-0 to the under in their last 3. Minnesota 4-4 to the under in their games at the current posted total. Give me Minnesota +3 in the under 227.5 in that matchup there. Next game, Heat Mavs 8:30 tip-off in Dallas. Dallas opened -2, total open 207. Since this one opened up, Dallas is taking money. Total moved up. Dallas is now 2.5. Total moved up to 209. Once again, the Mavericks open 2, up to -2.5. Total open 207, up to 209. 67% are leaning Dallas, 68% shaded toward the over. At the moment, Miami's +120 for some money line cash. Dragic and Jones still out indefinitely for Miami. On the Dallas side, no reported injuries. Dallas is 20-8 straight up at home, 20-8 against the spread in that same category. Dallas is led by Doncic, who is scoring 20 points per contest. Hardaway in second with 15 points a game. Dallas ranks 7th in home points allowed, and they're covering 77% of their games, taking on teams between 450 and 550. Now, Miami's just 1-6 straight up in their last 7, 2-5 against the spread in that same category. When it comes to the total, Miami's just 3-3 to the over in their last 6. Dallas, they're scoring 111 points per contest at home. Once again, Miami is 3-3 to the over in their last 6. Meanwhile, on the Dallas side, they are scoring 111 points per contest on their home court. Give me Dallas -2. Let's try that again. Give me Dallas -2 after buying the half a point in the over 209 in that matchup there. Next game, Kings Nuggets, 9 o'clock tip-off in Denver. Denver opened the betting as the 7.5 point favorite. Total open at 228.5. Now we've seen movement upward on the total when it came to this ball game. We're also seeing movement upward when it comes to the spread as well. Denver's now laying 8 points, with the total moving upward to 230. 59% are leaning Denver, 52% shaded toward the under. Once again, the Nuggets open 7.5 up to -8. Total open 228.5 up to 230. And at the moment, Sacramento's +285 for some money line cash. Now, Thomas is questionable with a hip for Denver. Harris is ruled out for the Nuggets. Regardless, though, Denver's still 24-4 straight up on their home court, 20-8 against the spread in that same category. Denver ranks first in the NBA in defensive rebounding. They also rank first in home offensive field goal percentage. Now, Sacramento's just 2-8 against the spread in their last 10 on the road. They rank dead last in defensive rebounding. And when it comes to the scoring, Sacramento's 14-3 to the under in their last 17. Give me Denver -8 in the under 230 in that matchup there. Next game, Warriors, Trailblazers. That's going to be a 10:30 tip-off in Portland. Golden State's -4.5, total 233 and a hook. Portland's 20-11 against the spread at home, 9-1 straight up in their last 10 at the Moda Center. Portland's also ranking 2nd in home offensive rebounding and 3rd in home defensive rebounding. Now, Lillard is leading the charge with 26 points per contest on average for Portland. And when it comes to the Golden State side of things, they're covering just 28% of their games in the second of a back-to-back. They're also just 33% against the spread at the current number. Now, total-wise, Golden State is 2-1 to the under, taking on Portland this year, 4-2 to the under in their last 6. Give me the Blazers +5 after buying the hook in the under 233.5 in that matchup there. All right, next and final game for the show. It is going to be for our NBA slate, and it is Phoenix at the Clippers, 10:30 tip-off in Los Angeles. The Clippers are -8, totals 229. Johnson and Booker are questionable for Phoenix tonight. No reported injuries for the Clippers. Los Angeles ranks 2nd in shooting the 3-ball in the NBA. They also rank 5th in home offensive rebounding. Now, the Clippers are covering 66% of their games when laying the points. They're led by Lou Williams, who's scoring 21 points per contest. Phoenix, on their side of things, well, they dropped their last 14 straight. They're also just 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 when traveling. Now, when it comes to the total, Phoenix is just 2-5 to the over in their last 7. Clippers 2-1 to the under, taking on Phoenix. Give me the Clippers -8 in the under 229 in that matchup there. All right, let's go ahead and slide into some college basketball, beginning with Providence at Villanova, 6:30 tip-off in Radnor, Pennsylvania. Villanova's minus 11, totals 135.5. Villanova is 16-8 against the spread overall for